I had periods in my game where I was just trying to pull girls within 15 minutes, and I swear it works. I don't know. There was this one guy
Is
who,
this at the club or is this at during the daytime? Like I'm assuming night game, right? Or are you doing that
yeah,
during?
I did it from all kind of scenarios. For example, on a date, like you meet the girl, and there was this one girl in Frankfurt. I met her in the city center, and then I'm like, do you want to have wine or do you want to have this? And then I'm like, yeah, let's have wine. And then I just went with her directly to my place, but it was a little bit too quick for her. But you can pull, but doesn't mean you get late. But it also happened where I was just like, when you repeatedly ask the girl to come home with you and frame it in a way after she's attracted to you and she's down, it works. And it
Hmm.
happened so many times that I pulled girls within under 30 minutes, especially when I
Hmm.
was working as a party promoter and stuff. So it really comes down to like doing a lot of approaches. And once you experience in game, you can read all her IOIs, right? You know exactly like what are the subtle body language things that she's doing. For example, when girls do like this, or when this energy flows through them, and like their pussy's a little bit squeezing and itching, and she already wants you, and then you know that she wants to bang you, and it happens really quickly in the conversation. Then you just have to figure out the logistics, and then you can take her home really quickly.
I think a great takeaway point from that is being willing to take a risk. Because I think,
Yeah.
I don't know, I wasn't naturally like this. I had to build these skills, right? I was very like nervous and stuff in high school, but I would always sit there on the date, like just so scared to like, oh, let's go back to my place. And I'd sit there at the bar for like 3 hours. The girl, but well, I got to go wake up early tomorrow. And I'd just be sitting there like, fuck. And I still talk to guys who are on that same wavelength where it's just like, yeah, I went to a bar with a girl and we were having drinks, everything was going great. We were there for like 5 hours, but she didn't invite herself over to my place or she didn't invite me to come back to her place. And I didn't really know where to take it, right? And they're too reliant on the girl making the move. So it's just like just being able to just take that risk, lead the conversation or lead the interaction somewhere as opposed to just sitting there and just, staying idle is so important, right? Leadership and taking it somewhere.
The best example of this is when you're watching a movie and you do the move. If you ever watched Cheaper Bite a Dozen Two, I think it was, they got like a whole fucking scene sketch for that. It's hilarious, where these teenagers are going on a date and the two dads are spying on them. Oh, he's about to do the move. I've been on. We had those times maybe as teenagers, for example, when we had this girl over or like, wherever we were watching a movie and we wanted to make the move, but we were like, I got the timing right because now everyone's crying in the scene. It's a set. So there's murder going on. It's not a good time to put my arm around her and shit like that. You just go in your head too much, but absolutely, you
Oh,
have to take the fucking risk.
yeah.
Otherwise, you're risking everything by just not doing anything. So, absolutely, I made a video about like that exact point before what you're saying. Leadership, risk, that kind of thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, but
I talk
also if you think about it, right? So like, you know, asking for the number is fear of rejection. Or if you don't do it, you don't want to get rejected. That's why you kind of play it safe. When you're texting the girl, you don't want to ask her out because you could get rejected. When you're touching the girl, you could get rejected, right? So like there is this underlying fear of rejection, and it occurs at different times in the interaction. And that's the problem what guys are so afraid of, right? So you just have to, that's why you also have to do so many approaches in the beginning to just do all the mistakes or miss out on the opportunities that you could have had. I'm pretty sure that all of you guys had so many girls looking backwards where you're like, oh shit, man, with this girl I should have made the move, and I would have gotten her, right? And that's the fear of rejection where guys always like pussy out, and then they just had to do it or just escalate in the set instead of on the date, because if you can get a girl on a date, but it's a friend zone date, and you're definitely not getting laid if you don't touch her. I always say escalate in the first 30 seconds of the interaction, and you will save a lot of time and trouble, right?
Well,
Because
here's the good news too, is like guys stress out and I think that they think everything has to be perfect. It's like you can fuck up at any one of these stages and one little mistake is not going to ruin things. Like you can go for a kiss and oh my God, maybe you went too early and maybe she didn't want to kiss you. But if she's still hanging out with you after you're the guy who tried to kiss you, guess what that means? She's okay with you trying to kiss her and you can do it again later. So like it's totally okay. It's better to just take the risk and maybe 1 out of 10 times fail than to never take the risk, because otherwise you're rejecting yourself. But if you make a mistake, girls are pretty forgiving generally, as long as it's not too many of them.
That's a
Dude, the
great
biggest
point.
the biggest mistake I see with guys who are intermediates is not actually playing to win. They go out, they try to get a lot of phone numbers and stuff. Dude, when me and Jesse go out, I'm not kidding, this is what we do. We get to the venue, I look for the hottest girl, we approach, we lock in, and we try our absolute fucking hardest to pull that set, which we most likely will. A lot of guys are like, I'm gonna get the number, I'm gonna kind of finagle around it. A lot of guys get stuck in that zone of collecting phone numbers, never actually making the fucking pull happen. It's like you have to be willing to play to win to push your boundaries. I was actually teaching our one of our assistant coaches that we pulled a two set from New York City. It was like 4:30 a.m. on Christmas Eve. I'm not fucking kidding. We got back to his house. He had no booze. The girl's like, we kind of want to go home, right? I went down the street. I knocked on a random person's fucking house and I bought a bottle of tequila off this guy at 5 a.m. and I fucking made the pull happen. That's what like playing to win is. If you want it bad enough, you're gonna fucking figure it out.
I would add on top of that quickly. It's funny because you mentioned guys collecting a lot of phone numbers. I am the king of message game, and we all know very well that the vast majority of guys fucking suck at messaging women. So it's like even if they get so many phone numbers, they're gonna be a disaster with a lot of the messaging that's going on, and the mistakes are so repetitive. It's just insane if you're actually an expert at this kind of thing. But anyway,
I just got a great idea.
Especially with night game too. Like in night game, yeah, don't even like the number is almost a failure once you're past that beginner stage. It's like, okay, cool. You got a number. Who gives a fuck? She could have given you a false number. She could forget who you are tomorrow. It's like exactly what Brandon was saying. And I'm sure Jesse advocates for as well. Is like, try to fucking close that night. If you're going out at night, try to close and get the phone number as a backup, but try to close.
That's interesting. This could be like a whole different separate debate. But what I prefer to do is I prefer to get a bunch of phone numbers so that I have dates during the week as opposed to like closing right then and there. Because I'll get like, 10 or 11 numbers and I'll end up setting those dates throughout the week as opposed to just going home that one night, right? So at least I have those dates throughout the week as opposed to just the one.
Why not make it every
I do that more in day game. Day game,
okay.
I like that. Social circle game, I like that. But for night game, I think the priority should be closing. And then you get the number of like, hey, logistically, it's not going to happen tonight. Or, oh shit, we're going to another venue with the other friends. It's like, if there's a reason to get a phone number, cool, get a phone number. It's not like an absolute loss. But dude, why not go for the actual close?
solid points
No.
from everyone. I'll add on top of this, night game phone numbers are going to be more flaky.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
for me,
night
it's also
game is
too,
a
like,
complete waste of time, man. If you don't know what you're doing in night game, it's a complete waste of time. And if you're not planning to actually pull from night game, why would you go to a nightclub? I worked there. I brought thousands of people into nightclub, and in my opinion, it's a waste of time. Especially if you're a successful guy and you want to run a business or something like that. Like, why would you go to a nightclub from 11 to 3 or 4 a.m.?
actually, and Phil,
To pull.
to
Yeah,
go off your point, part of the reason why I like getting all those numbers to set up throughout the week is because quite honestly, I don't want to be staying up till like 4 in the morning and then have to get a girl out of my bed because I can't sleep when there's a girl like lying in my bed. It's like, okay, well, hey, come on, like it's 4:30 in the morning here, right? So I'd rather just get the numbers, set them up during the day throughout the week. But that's just me.
Nightclubs are good for learning, leading, escalating. Maybe if you want to have a fun time with your friend, and then I go to nightclubs, but I have a VIP table with my friends. And then we go 10 girls, and then we go home, like day game and social circle game and building an epic Instagram is, in my opinion, the best for a lifestyle for a successful man. And also you get the most high quality girls. And guys, I'm telling you, luxury beach clubs. If you want to have the hottest woman, there's a lot of paid for presence girls there, like that get paid by the club to just be there and be pretty, but they're so fucking hot. They're all in bikinis and it's awesome. I'm running parties here. You can all come. Ice White, you're close. And the Mexican guys, just come, man. We're gonna party together. It's epic.
Why not go out?
20 girls.
Why not go out? 3 or 4 numbers, right? And then lock in. You get there at 9, lock in, get 3 or 4 numbers, set it up, and then close at midnight, right? For night game, you don't have to stay out all night. You could pull at midnight, 11 p.m. It's not you don't have to stay out all night.
Hmm.
I will
Let-
say too, it's very dependent on venues. So that's a big reason. I know we talked in the beginning about like places to go out in Scottsdale. That's a big part of why I don't like the clubs, is because you're having to compete for attention, and everything about the club is set up to shit on guys without tables. The club is there to sell tables to make money. And they sell tables by making low status guys feel low status and high status guys feel high status, or specifically guys who pay make them feel high status. So that's why I like to go to the rooftops, to the open air places where there's still chatter and it's still loud and there's that fun, adventurous vibe, but it's not a nightclub. Because I agree actually 100% with Phil. I don't really love nightclub game in general.